Hi everyone, how's it going? It's Isaac here from Sports Addict, and today's going to be a little bit different bit of a video. I'm just going to be talking a little bit about my opinions. So as you can see by the title of the video, it's going to be a little bit of not a conspiracy theory, but more just an idea of what could have happened. So basic premise of the video is who would be the best player of this current generation if Messi and Ronaldo did not exist? So in this world, Messi and Ronaldo never became professional footballers or never existed at all. So we're going to have to look at who would be the greatest of this generation. So we're talking early 2000s to sort of now. So I'm just going to fire a couple of names and say why I think they might be and why I think maybe not as well. So an easy suggestion is Neymar. Neymar moved to Barcelona and was part of the greatest trio of arguably of all time in MSN with Suarez and Messi. You know, that improbable comeback against PSG. He's got a lot of goals for Barca, Brazil. He won Brazil their first not World Cup, Olympic gold medal in quite a few years. He brought Barcelona back to, they weren't particularly as bad as they are now, but they weren't in a great place, and he got them back to that success and winning relentlessly. That Champions League run where they beat PSG and went on to win the trophy was an incredible season. And he's gone on to do bigger and better things. It was something like reported 222 million euros that PSG paid for him. So at one time he was the most expensive transfer of all time. I think he might still have that record because it is such a large fee. I think Mbappe would have broken it had he gone to Real, but obviously he's got the contract extension. Neymar obviously brilliant on the ball, brilliant off the ball, brilliant picking up spaces. His best quality is his dribbling by far. He's got a good right foot on him and he can shoot from anywhere really, but his best attribute for me is his dribbling. Put him one-on-one with any player in the world and I think you're not going to stop him. There's so much quality in the player that I don't see any way in which it's arguable he's not one of the best forwards of this generation. The only reason I maybe think he's not the best, would be the best of all time, is I think maybe the move to PSG came too early in his career. He was sort of 25, 26, 27 sort of age when he moved from Barca to PSG, which I think was a mistake. You can tell that the move was money driven. Obviously, he's going to win a lot of trophies with PSG, but in terms of a club that was looking closer to winning the Champions League again, Barcelona were there. They still had a lot of the good players, and Messi was only getting better with each year. Moving to PSG, in my opinion, at his age was a mistake, and you, like I say, you could tell it was money driven just because there's not a lot of ambition in that move. Yes, you're going to win the French league title pretty much every year. Obviously, they didn't win it a couple of years ago. Lille won it, which was a surprise, but they were on an 8-year winning streak. You're going to win the French Cup and the French League Cup and all the French domestic competitions, and you're probably going to go far in the Champions League. For me, just that move to an easier league against easier opposition just removes him from the greatest of all time debate for me. Obviously, a couple of Ballon d'Or nominations, never won the trophy, but he would have possibly won it had Messi and Ronaldo not existed or played, just because obviously they're not in that situation. There were quite a lot of situations where he came second and third in the years where the Ballon d'Or was given out. But just for me, that move to PSG really just doesn't cement it for me. I think if he'd have made a move to a Premier League team or stayed in Barcelona and continued winning like Messi had done, that would have been a good situation. Obviously, Messi's not existed in this world, but he probably would have led Barcelona to a lot of success. Another sort of Barcelona player you could talk about is obviously Suarez. Started off his career in Ajax. Went around a couple of clubs before starting for Liverpool. Very nearly won the Premier League with Liverpool. It came down to that Gerrard slip against Demba Ba and Chelsea. So he would have had a Premier League winners medal to his name. A couple of good Champions League runs, but then again he made the move to Barcelona wasn't. It probably was money driven as well because they were offering him more money to move away. However, there's a lot of ambition in that move, which again I don't see from Neymar because, like I say, Barcelona were closer to winning the Champions League. He was going to win the league title with Barcelona at least once. Real and Atletico were coming close to winning it, but Barcelona were cemented as the Spanish super club at winning the league at the time. So him moving there was ambition based. He's scored a lot of goals throughout his career. He's done good things with Uruguay, getting them to a couple of Copa America finals and some World Cup knockout stages. Never won any domestic trophies, I don't think, with Uruguay. But in terms of his club career, he's done a lot of good. He didn't want to leave Barcelona, which is a massive mistake on their part for me. Koeman phoned him up and said that he wasn't interested in keeping him, which I think was a mistake. I don't see how, from a perspective, you can throw out a player that scored 300 plus goals for your club in 6 years. That's ridiculous, in my opinion. Suarez would guarantee you 20, 30 goals in the league season, which would have helped them do really well. But instead, they decided to let him go for free to Atletico, where he then won the league. And he played just as well in the Atletico side. It probably was just to get a big wage off the books. Obviously, we know Barcelona have had a lot of financial troubles at the minute. But I just feel personally he should have stayed. I think Koeman should have utilised him better. Bringing in the likes of Aubameyang, Depay, I don't think they're good moves. They're all ageing forwards that aren't necessarily... Bringing in Ferran Torres, Adama Traore, that's building for the future. But in terms of bringing in a striker for now, I would have suggested going with a 25, 26-year-old. Someone like... a Marcus Rashford. I'm not saying Marcus Rashford exactly, but someone of that type, a 24 to 27 age player that's got some experience, but isn't so young that they can flop, but isn't so old that they're going to be sort of injury ridden. I think, like I say, selling Suarez, I think, was a mistake on Barcelona's part, and I think he, over Neymar, would arguably be the best of all time. But obviously, with the controversy surrounding him with his biting and his temperament and his anger during games, I think that goes against him. Another player I want to talk about, someone a little bit different, is Manuel Neuer. I arguably would say he is the greatest goalkeeper of all time. Obviously, you've had very good goalkeepers in the past with Cech, Van der Sar, Schmeichel, David De Gea. You've got the current goalkeepers that are playing now. Alisson, Lloris could arguably be up there. He's done so well with Tottenham. He's won a World Cup. But for Neuer, Neuer's won a World Cup. Neuer's won season after season league trophies with Bayern, and then obviously the domestic competitions. He's won a couple of Champions Leagues with Bayern now, and he's been a mainstay in that Bayern side. There was the season after the 2018 World Cup where he was a bit injury ridden, he dropped in form, and it was looking like maybe that was the end of Manuel Neuer, but he just came back stronger and he came back better as a better goalkeeper. And I think that really stands him in good ground because, him being there and keeping Bayern up. Bayern could have spent 100 million on a new goalkeeper. There were rumours at one point of them bringing Donnarumma or Jan Oblak from Atletico, Courtois when he was in his Chelsea days. There were rumours of him bringing that in, and Neuer just stood above the rest of them and said no, that he's there. He's been in a couple of Ballon d'Or nominations. I think he would have won a few if Messi and Ronaldo weren't footballers, just because I think goalkeepers get looked down upon a lot in these kind of situations with awards, just because it's not particularly a marketable thing being a goalkeeper. Yeah, right, you can think, oh, that's a good save, but goalkeepers aren't renowned for scoring goals, obviously. They don't get goals, they don't get many assists, and that's what these awards teams look for, is how many goals, how many chances did he create, and just goalkeepers get a lot of stick for not being those sorts of players, which they're not. But I still do think that players like Neuer that get their team so many points from saves should get recognition. The only reason, again, I would say Manuel Neuer, I'm going to try and attempt a positive and negative for as many players, but the reason I would say no to Neuer is just because it's an easier league. The Bundesliga, it's a difficult league, but in comparison to the Premier League and Serie A, they've won it 10 years in a row. So honestly, you could stick a fridge in goal and they probably still win the league. So maybe that's a consideration to take into account. But I still think he's one of the best goalkeepers of all time, if not the best. Another couple of players I want to talk about, and I'm going to sort of group these one together. So you got Kroos, Modric, Kante. You've got any midfielder that sort of played in this time: Kroos, Modric, Kante, De Bruyne. You've got who else? Let me think. Yeah, someone will come to me in a minute. And I just think these calibre of midfielders, just because of the longevity of them, you look at the current midfield three for Real and they're all above 35. That they've got younger midfielders in Valverde, Camavinga and that sort of calibre of player, but these players have been around for so long and they've won so much across their careers. I think they're arguably in that conversation to be the greatest of all time. You know, I watched that Man City game. The passes Modric were playing to Vinicius Junior to get him on the ball and get him into scoring positions were elite level balls. Kroos can set up a chance, he can drop a ball on a sixpence. Casemiro can defend you a game week in, week out, and he's 36 now, I think. And that sort of player just doesn't, there's not many that can go that distance and that longevity anymore. But I think just having him there and having those three, and also you look at Kante, he won the league with Leicester. He's won the league with Chelsea. He's won the Champions League with Chelsea. He's won the World Cup with France. He's won the Nations League with France. I feel personally that encapsulates the perfect player. And what for me sets Kante apart from the rest is the humility that Kante's got and the fact that he is such a humble player. You know, you never see Kante going out getting drunk. You never see him coming in an expensive Lamborghinis and Ferraris. He's a humble player. He knows his roots and he sticks to him. He's not mired in controversy. He's the model player that many young footballers look up to and say, I want to be that. And I'm not saying that the other midfielders that I mentioned are bad people, but in just terms of humility, Kante tops it. I'd also argue Kante has been playing in a lot harder league for a lot longer. I would argue if you put Kroos and Modric into the Premier League, in a side such as Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Spurs. Modric did well at Spurs when he was younger, but if you put him in now even at 32, 33, the age that Kante is, I don't think they'd be able to compete just because it is such a physical league. And a lot of people think, oh, they just come in and they just play long balls and they get 20 assists, but they wouldn't, because the quality of opposition is a lot better and the physicality of the league needs to be taken into account. Another player I want to talk about is Sergio Ramos. Obviously won the 4 league titles, 3 in a row with Real. He has made the move to PSG, but it's later in his career. He's 35 now and he's made that move to PSG. That move completely makes sense. He wasn't going to get much game time at Real anymore with Eder Militao, David Alaba coming in. He wasn't going to get much game time, so making that move seemed sensible. And also with Sergio Ramos, throughout his whole career, he's been an elite level winner. He's been in many a Ballon d'Or consideration. He was in it the year Modric and Salah were in it as well, when just after the Champions League final where they beat Salah and he hurt Salah's shoulder. But throughout his career, Ramos has been the centre-back, you know. I can't really think of many centre-backs that have been comparable to his level of eliteness in this generation. You think back and you think Rio Ferdinand and Vidic, you think John Terry, you think Koeman. I don't rank, they're not in the same generation for me. Obviously Ferdinand played until 2013, but that's pre-gen I'm talking about now. In terms of this generation, Ramos has been the centre-back to look up to. People that want to grow up and be a centre-back have seen, this is what I want to do. You look at Ibrahima Konate, now you look at Rudiger, they have very similar play styles to Ramos. Not in the fact that they get a lot of red cards, but it's a very physical style of play. It's not a wait for them to mess up and then you take the ball, sort of like Aaron Wan-Bissaka plays, where he puts a perfect tackle in. Ramos uses his physicality and his strength to get rid of the ball and move it on. which I think a lot of players don't. Again, I refer back to people like Jaap Stam and Vidic. They were physical defenders. The art of defending has moved forward in recent times to faster defenders that can keep up with the opposition, are good in the air and could put a good tackle in. I'm not saying previous players didn't have that, but that's something that's been put into players' mindsets, that they have to be fast and good at with quick reactions, and that has improved over time. We've seen with the quality defenders that has improved, and more players have those attributes. Another player that I think was worth mentioning is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Serial winner on a domestic level. He's won a lot of trophies with clubs in their respective countries. He scored a lot of goals, and he's 42 and he's still playing for Milan. Obviously, he's had a lot of injury woes at the minute, but I still think he's performing to an elite level that not many people can. The only issue I have with Zlatan is just the fact he's never won the Champions League. He's played for 6 or 7 clubs that have won the Champions League, either just before or just after he's left. Now, that's just unfortunate. I don't think that has anything to do with him. I think it's the fact they probably got a lot of money and they spent it on a high quality of players, and they've improved the whole team. But I just think the fact he's never won it is an issue. All the other players I've mentioned have won it, and it's not like that's the only thing he hasn't won. He's never won a national trophy. He didn't never won the Prem with Man United. He came close, but he never won it. He won the Europa League, but that, for me, I don't rank that on us. That's a completely different level to the Champions League. Another player that I think is definitely worth mentioning is Sergio Aguero. I can name 6 or 7 from the past Man City team. Sergio Aguero, David Silva, Fernandinho, Vincent Kompany, all played before the City sort of massive takeover happened. They were all brought in sort of the 2012-2013 time, and they've lasted as long as they have. Obviously, Kompany's retired and Aguero's retired now, and David Silva's over playing in Spain for Real Sociedad. Fernandinho's still at City. I think all of those 4 could be in that conversation because they've mastered the Premier League and they did so well. Sergio Aguero is one of the Premier League all-time top scorers. And that's no mean feat. It's a difficult, extremely difficult thing to do. To be in that conversation of an all-time Premier League top goal scorer is no mean feat. It's not something to put your nose up at. Sergio obviously forced into retirement due to health issues, which I don't think could be scored against him for not being in that debate. Obviously won the title for City back in 2012 with the Aguero moment and all that. But I don't think there's many other Premier League forwards that have been as good as him for as long as he's been good. One player that I do want to mention is Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney has retired in the past 4 years, I think it is, and now he's managing Derby, so maybe that goes against him, the fact he's not still going. But in terms of what he's done previously while he was still playing, that can't be looked down upon. England's all-time top goal scorer, United's all-time top goal scorer, one of the Premier League all-time top scorers. That is, again, in itself is a very good accomplishment, and I think that needs to be looked at. I don't think there's many others in that Man United team from this current generation that could be in that conversation. Maybe David De Gea, as I mentioned, but he came into the game sort of 2013 time, and I'm talking just a little bit before that, sort of 2007, 2008, when Ronaldo burst into the team, and a couple of seasons later when Messi did. But for me, with Wayne Rooney, I just think the fact that he's retired, he's 33, 34. Ronaldo's 37 and he's still playing. I don't think Wayne Rooney has the capabilities to play anymore. He probably could, but I just don't think, with obviously the time he's had away, I don't think he could physically be up to it anymore. But you think back to the goals against City, that bicycle kick. You think back to all the great goals he scored across his career. There's so many memorable moments, and for me, that's what makes it go. You think of the Neymar goal against the Neymar hat-trick against PSG to get them through. You think of the Suarez, the bites are infamous. They're magical moments that make football what it is. Ramos, all the tackles he's done throughout his career, he was penalty taker for Spain and Real for a long time, and he's a centre back. You think of Neuer coming back from the injury. You think of the Aguero moment, the company goal against Leicester. This is what makes a GOAT for me. And those are the players that I think would be in the GOAT debate. If there's any I've missed, I do apologise. Do leave them down below. There probably has been some. Leave any suggestions down below for you think you would be the GOAT of this generation. So we're talking 2007 sort of time to now, or even just like 2012 to now, sort of just in this generation of players, who would be the greatest of all time for you. Do leave down below and a reason why, and I'll look at them and I'll have a think, and I'll probably respond with my opinions. If there's anything I've forgotten, I do apologise. Cheers for watching. Bye bye.